made it to the end of 2025, and Farron looks like she's about to pass out.
I don't do well with staying up past, 9 p.m.
I was going to say, 6 p.m.
But I've been staying up too late lately, and it's taking a toll on me.
Like the opposite of a little kid. When I can, I stay up late all the time, but it's on New Year's Eve though, for some reason at 10 o'clock, I'm like, hey, it's time for bed.
Ready for bed.
Even though any other night I'd be up till 3 or 4.
Ringing in the new year, schnoozing.
That's right. It's the only way to do it.
You guys won't hear this until probably
the new year.
So
that's right.
Happy New Year! It's a whole new one.
It is a brand spanking new one.
Let's just hope it's a decent one.
We have not yet watched the finale of Stranger Things.
No. Kiddo wanted to do that to where it ended at midnight.
Yeah,
but that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's somehow turned into 10:19 p.m.
Yeah.
And here we are. So we're going to do this instead.
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow we'll decide if the Duffer brothers need to have a phone call about Steve's fate.
Yeah.
Because I don't know yet.
Nobody knows. Somebody knows, but we don't know.
We don't know.
Well,
I did see an interview with Noah Schnapp. Then they were, I don't know, maybe it was Jimmy Fallon or something, asking if, that's how he was gonna ring in the new year, was watching the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he was going to save it for New Year's Day because he wanted to, enjoy the festivities of New Year's Eve without any tears.
Yeah.
And I was like, thanks.
Great.
Can't wait.
Great.
Super.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got the flu for Christmas, so I might get a little scratchy the longer I talk.
I did not get the flu for Christmas. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness, because it was a killer. But I am hopefully not going to have a coughing fit in the big fat middle of this, but I assure you that if I do, you won't even notice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you ready to go?
I suppose.
All right. Well, before we get started, I have a couple of Sauter family comments.
Okay.
I was going to say updates, but they're not really updates.
No.
They're just feedback.
Okay.
Maybe is the right word. So, our resident electrician, Dennis, came through with some information on whether or not the house would still have had electricity if it were burning from faulty wiring.
Mm-hmm.
So, his insights were, yes, it is possible to have electricity in one part of the house, even if the power in another part shorted and started a fire. This was especially true in that era. We now have shutoffs on our panel boxes, and that's the first thing firefighters do in responding to a house fire is shut off the power. So,
yes,
I guess it still would have been possible for the house to have been burning from faulty wiring, even though they still had lights on to exit the house. Also, we got a comment from a listener on YouTube who added a couple of details. I'm going to use she, her pronouns because the username was Dragon Girl.
Okay.
So, I'm assuming. She said, in regards to the picture of Lewis that was addressed to the mom, Jenny, so remember, she got the picture of the older boy, she did have a brother named Frank Cipriani, who could be Brother Frankie, which remember it said, I love Brother Frankie or whatever. The Sauter family had suspected him because he lived in Florida, and there were witnesses who saw the children get into cars with Florida license plates.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Sauters believed this theory that Jenny's brother took them because it would have been someone they knew.
Yeah.
She goes on to say that Jenny's father died a year before the fire, and there was a possible settlement dispute with Frank over their father's estate. Jenny's younger brother, Jimmy, who was also present at the scene of the fire the next morning, never mind, I read that funny. Jenny's younger brother, Jimmy, was also present at the scene of the fire the next morning. The man who threatened them, George's former employer, that... I can't remember his name now. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. He had also mentioned in his threat that Jenny wasn't signing the settlement papers, and so this could very likely connect the two and also be a possible motive.
Okay.
I mean, and that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Those other guys still seem really sus.
Well, I mean, but this guy is part of that guy. Because the former employer was the one who hired the insurance salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And then the former employer apparently threatened them, saying something about Jenny not signing the papers to the settlement.
Yeah.
And so then if he was in cahoots with her brother, too, who wanted part of the settlement, then maybe that kind of, like, put all of these players into play in, like, this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that, you know, we talked about George driving all over the country following up leads. Mm-hmm. So certainly he drove to Florida to check on his brother-in-law.
I mean, I guess you would think so.
But maybe the brother hid the kids and, like, feigned innocence, or maybe sent them to Italy. Remember, that was kind of a running theory at some point. It's really too bad because you know that anybody who was alive at the time is now gone.
Right.
And so it's unlikely that anybody's ever going to actually have an answer to this. But anyway. All right. Well, I want you to join me on the imagination station.
Oh, boy.
Okay. You have just bought your dream house.
Great.
It's big. It's beautiful. It's on a tree-lined street in a quiet neighborhood.
It's the greatest house, the most magnificent house.
Yes, absolutely. It's in the burbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can already picture how you're going to decorate every room. Mm-hmm. You haven't moved in yet.
Okay.
And you get a letter. And that letter says, "Dear new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood."
I thought you wanted me to cover this story.
Absolutely wanted you to, but you know what? You had the audacity to ask me if I had a story ready after I had the flu for a week. So I had to find something that was fairly easy to research.
Yeah, but you didn't watch the Netflix series.
Sure didn't. So you can handle that part.
I mean, what I can remember of it.
But
it's been a while.
Anyway, so you get this letter. You read the first part of this, right? And you think, sweet, someone's going to show up at my door with a pie in a minute.
Some sweet cookies, a pie.
But then the letter goes on.
A casserole.
How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you from its force within? It goes on to talk about some creepy stuff about watching the house for decades and being excited for young blood moving in.
Yeah.
And then it's signed The Watcher. Are you still excited about that new house?
I mean, not as excited.
No? Okay. Well, so for those of you in outer space who have not caught on, we're covering The Watcher house tonight. Yes. And again, I definitely wanted Farron to do this one, but she's mean. And she did not accept my flu excuse for not having a story ready. So,
it takes me weeks to get a story ready.
You can do like the Circleville letters or something.
Okay.
Which I didn't think about until after I had already started writing this, and then I was like, I could have done that. It's too late now. Alright, so let's back up a little bit. First of all, while I had heard this story before, I'm not sure that I realized how recent in history this took place. It starts in June of 2014. It's somebody in the hallway. And like we just said, I know that you watched more of the Netflix series than I did. Mm-hmm. Because I stopped as soon as the little boy was going to put the ferret in the dumbwaiter.
Yeah. And
got a sneaking suspicion what was going to happen next, and I never turned it back on.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert for anybody who has not watched that. So, I can't really speak to how accurate the series is.
As far as I can tell, it's very elaborated.
Well, I did read an article from New York Magazine's The Cut, that the series was apparently based on. And that's where most of my information is going to come from. So I don't know if there's anything you ever want to throw in there.
Like I said, it's been a while since I watched it, so I really can't remember a whole lot about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that this article was also the only time or the first time or something that the family went on record and spoke to the press about their experience. So here we go. Our main players are Derek and Maria Broaddus. Derek was raised in a working-class family in Maine who worked his way up to a senior vice president of an insurance company in Manhattan. I'm not sure if Maria worked, but she was raised in Westfield, New Jersey, where the story takes place. They have 3 children, and at the time the story starts, they were 5, 8, and 10, so they were little kids. In June 2014, Derek and Maria had just closed on this $1.3 million home with 6 bedrooms and apparently multiple fireplaces, because according to the article, the children were debating which fireplace Santa would use that year. The house was built in 1905 and is located, as I mentioned earlier, at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey.
Yes.
I take offense with the name of the street.
Why?
Because it's just called a boulevard. It's not like, I don't know, Bull Snake Boulevard. It's just boulevard. Boulevard is the type of a street.
Yeah.
It is not the name of a street. Like, it just sounds very made up. Westfield also sounds made up, but... So, at the time, Westfield, New Jersey had a population of about 30,000 people. It's about 45 minutes away from New York City. And it's like a super quiet place. It was ranked as the 30th safest place to live in the entire country.
That's okay.
I would say pretty safe.
Yeah.
Because the country has a lot of towns.
Yeah. More than 30.
At least 50.
At least 31.
The couple who sold the Broadduses the house rarely locked their doors.
Yes.
In the year 2014.
Yes.
I lock the door every time I go through it. I just can't imagine feeling that safe anywhere. So 3 days after the Broadduses closed on their new home, they hadn't yet moved in because they were doing some minor renovations to the place. They were painting, redoing floors, apparently something in the basement because the article mentions jackhammering in the basement.
Okay.
This evening in June, Derek is at the house painting by himself, and he runs out to check the mail, and he notices a thick card envelope addressed to the new owner. And again, he probably thought it was from one of the neighbors, and I kind of hinted at it at the beginning, but this is how the letter read. And I want to just preface, I have not seen the actual entire letter, so this is kind of piecemeal from the article that I read and from other things that I saw. Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 call to you from its force within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched it in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family, or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I am in one. Look at all of the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am in one. Look out any of the windows in 657 Boulevard at all of the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. Welcome, my friends, welcome. Let the party begin. The Watcher.
Dun dun dun.
It's just weird.
It is.
Like, it's just weird.
My problem... My problem is that It's creepy in a good way. It's the kind of creepy that I like.
Okay, I would say it's creepy in a good way as an outside observer.
Oh yeah, if it was happening to me, I'd probably be scared shitless. But but like as an outside observer, it's the kind of creepy that I enjoy.
I also wonder if from the outset, was the writer intending to sound creepy, or did it just come off creepy? Because, like, was it like, hey, because, you know, it says, like, in its 110th birthday, I've been waiting and watching for its second coming. Like, is it somebody who's, like, finally a young family is moving in and they're gonna revitalize the area, or... and it just came off weird?
Okay, I'm gonna go with they're intending to be creepy because they were like, once I find out your kids' names, I'm gonna call
true.
to them.
That's
and...
true. That's true. I did kind of blank that part out. So
yeah.
And draw them to me. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So they're just creeps. Never mind. Never mind. Just totally creeps. Alright, so again, I couldn't find the whole letter. But the article in New York Magazine says that it did talk about the family's car.
Mm-hmm.
It talked about the renovations. I guess it said, I see already that you have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Bad movie. Whatever that word was. Bad movie. Sorry, I'm very fancy. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy. Okay, so even though I technically researched this last night and today, listened to a couple of podcasts, read this article like 3 times, wrote all of this out, completely blanked the fact that this person is a creep the whole time.
Yeah.
So, it also mentioned the children in more detail, saying, you have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3 that I have counted. Mm-hmm. Okay. So anyway, this guy's a creep.
Yeah. Or is he?
Or is he?
Does he just come off creepy?
Maybe he just, like, comes off that way. Maybe he's perfectly lovely. He just has terrible social skills.
Yeah.
Alright, so...
He's never been around people, ever.
I mean, some people haven't. Some people are around people all the time and have terrible social skills.
This is true.
So, Derek is freaked out. So he runs in the house. He turns off all of the lights so that no one will be able to see the house. And remember, he's alone in the house at this point. It's after 10 p.m. He calls the police. An officer comes out, reads the letter, asks Derek if he has any enemies, and I guess that's basically it. Mm-hmm. And so Derek
there's not much they can do. Just
yeah,
it's not illegal to send a creepy letter.
I guess he did tell them. I guess there was like some piece of construction equipment outside, and he said like maybe move that so that it doesn't get thrown through the window. Mm-hmm. But you know what else can I do? So Derek goes back to his old house, which is I guess also in Westfield, and where his family was still living while they're renovating the new house. And immediately emails the couple who sold the house to them. Their names were John and Andrea Woods. And tells them about the letter, asks if they had ever received anything similar in the time that they lived in the house.
Right.
He got a response from Andrea the next morning saying that shortly before they moved out, they had also received a letter signed The Watcher that had also talked about this person's family having watched the house over time and basically like, thanks for taking care of the place.
Right.
She just figured it was a weird prank and threw it away, and she didn't think to mention it. She said that they had never received anything else in the 23 years that they lived there. So I guess after they got this email, the Woodses went with Maria to the police department to let them know that they had also received a letter. They didn't have it anymore, but I guess just to kind of back them up. And the police told them not to tell any of the neighbors about the letters because at this point all of the neighbors are suspects. Mm-hmm. And again, the family still isn't moving in yet because they're still doing renovations. But they do have to go over there to, paint. So they're moving stuff in, whatever. Anytime they're there, they're like on high alert. And any time that the kids would get out of her line of sight, Maria would call them back to her so that she was always seeing them whenever they were there. So one day she went to the house, I guess about 2 weeks after the first letter arrived, and she found a new letter in the mailbox.
Okay.
She called the police immediately, and this letter read, and again, it's probably in parts because I didn't see the whole letter.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Welcome again to your new home at 657 Boulevard. The workers have been busy, and I have been watching you unload carfuls of your personal belongings. The dumpster is a nice touch. Have they found what is in the walls yet? In time they will. I am pleased to know your names now, and the names of the young blood you have brought to me. You certainly say their names often," because remember, she was calling them anytime they got away from her. Also, the watcher in this letter seemed to know the nicknames and ages of all 3 children. He addresses the parents as Mr. and Mrs. Braddis. I don't know if he just, spelled it wrong or just didn't know how to spell it or just didn't know how to say it. And said that he could see one of the children using an easel inside the enclosed porch asking, "Is she the artist in the family?"
Yeah.
The letter goes on to say, 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all of the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. I would wonder at this point, did the jackhammerist find a pentagram on the basement floor? Because it's really giving off Rosemary's Baby vibes to me. Let's see, the letter goes on. Will they sleep in the attic, or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better. All of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move through the house. Who am I? I am the watcher, and have been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was their time to move on and kindly sold it when I asked them to. I pass by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession, and now you are too, Broaddus family. Welcome to the product of your greed. Greed is what brought the past 3 families to 657 Boulevard, and now it has brought you to me. Have a happy moving in day. You know I will be watching.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he wasn't intending to be creepy before, I think he was now.
Yeah, I mean...
just a little weird. I thought it was weird that he says that the Woods sold it to them when he asked them to. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying he because we don't know.
No.
So, I don't know, is he making that up, or are the Woods somehow involved in, this weirdness? Mm-hmm. I don't know. At this point, and I'm sure we can all understand why, Derek and Maria stopped taking the children to the house altogether.
Oh, yeah.
And they were really questioning whether they wanted to move into the house at all.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you would ever feel like your kids were safe.
Yeah, it would be real difficult. Especially, and clearly this person is watching them. Mm-hmm. It's not just someone
saying they're
watching them.
They know details.
Exactly. They did receive a 3rd letter a few weeks later. I don't know how long this letter is. I know the part that I read said, "Where have you gone to? 657 Boulevard is missing you." So at this point, the person's like, "Why aren't you moving in?" I'm welcoming you to the neighborhood, clearly. And yes. Why have you not moved into this house? So they're trying to figure out who this person could be. And their first thought is that maybe it was someone who had put in a competing offer to the house and lost out. However, the Woods family told them that they didn't think so because out of the other two interested buyers, one of them had backed out after a bad medical diagnosis, and the other had found a different house to buy. And so they're like, that doesn't sound like people who are upset that they missed out on the
they're
house.
Holding a grudge.
Yeah. Then they thought, well, maybe it's somebody in the neighborhood because clearly this person knows they're renovating the house because they mentioned the work trucks and seeing the children and hearing the children and seeing the little girl on the porch doing her drawing or painting or whatever. Plus, the letters were postmarked in Kearney, which was the USPS's closest distribution center. Another thing is that the first letter was postmarked on June 4th, which was before the sale was ever made public, and one day after the contractors had arrived at the house. And the Woods, I guess, had never even put up a for sale sign. So the fact that the house was even for sale or sold wouldn't just have been public knowledge at this point. I mean, you wouldn't have even known the house was for sale unless you had been looking at, like, realtor websites or just by, like, word of mouth from people in the neighborhood. And then the creepy comment about seeing the little girl on the porch with their easel. Derek and Maria walked the police through the house and showed them that where her easel was really well hidden because of, like, the landscaping and vegetation from the street. And so if someone saw her, they were either behind the house or, like, right next door to the house. Like, you wouldn't have been able to see from the front of the house. So at a neighborhood barbecue to welcome them and another family to the neighborhood, a man who lived a couple of houses down from 657 told Derek about the people who lived in between them. It was the Langford family. This was made up of Peggy, who was in her 90s, and she had a few of her adult children live with her. They were all in their 60s. This neighbor described them as odd but harmless. He said that one of the younger sons, named Michael, didn't work, had a beard like Ernest Hemingway, and, quote, is kind of a Boo Radley character.
Okay.
The family had lived there since the 60s, which is when the watcher claimed that his father had watched the house. And the father had died 12 years ago, which would also fit the watcher claiming to have watched the house for the better part of 2 decades. Derek was like, solved it.
It's these creepy people.
And went to the police with the information. The police did interview Michael Langford, who claimed to know nothing of the letters. And the vibe that I got from the article was that the police kind of thought that it probably was this Michael guy. From how he was talking, but they didn't have enough evidence and that it was him. So they basically kind of just told him to knock it off and then told the Broaddus family that they couldn't really do anything about it without proof or an admission of guilt and that Michael probably wouldn't do anything. And Derek was completely unsatisfied with this because he was like, this guy's basically threatening my kids. So probably isn't good enough. So he sets up some webcams in the house. And also we'll just kind of go over there and sit in the dark house looking out the windows to see if he can see anybody else looking into the house. He got a map of the neighborhood and then did his own research to see who had lived in the neighborhood since at least the 60s.
Right.
And who could have been close enough to the house to hear Maria call to the children. The family hired a private investigator to observe and run background checks on people in the neighborhood. They also reached out to 2 former FBI special agents to conduct a threat assessment. Fun fact, one of them was the inspiration for Clarice in Silence of the Lambs. So, they only hired the hard hitters. They felt that the letters, the special agents, that is, felt that the letters had been written by an older writer who was probably a voracious reader.
Yeah.
They also felt that the writer was unlikely to act on the threats, but, quote, the letters had enough typos and errors to imply a certain erraticism. And that there was a, quote, seething anger that seemed to be directed towards the wealthy, especially new money. Also, the person writing also seemed to be angry about the renovations. One of the letters read, "The house is crying from all of the pain it is going through. You have changed it and made it so fancy. You are stealing its history. It cries for the past and what it used to be." Wow, I wrote a my own typo. My own erraticism is showing. So I'm going to pretend like I know what this says. It cries for the past and what it used to be in the time when I roamed its halls. The 1960s were a good time for 657 Boulevard when I ran from room to room imagining the life with the rich occupants there. The house was full of life and young blood. Then it got old, and so did my father, but he kept watching until the day he died, and now I watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again. I'm all the creepy young blood stuff.
Yeah.
And in reality, that phrase doesn't have to be nefarious.
No.
But nothing is nefarious until it is, I guess.
But I don't know, because, like, young blood, no, that isn't nefarious, but,
Right.
like, they keep saying that they're going to make them theirs.
Right. And that's the thing, because, like I said, just in general, young blood is not creepy. Because even one of their neighbors, I guess, casually, because, I mean, they're on high alert whenever they talk to anybody. And so they noted and kind of freaked out when they were talking to a neighbor, and the neighbor kind of, like, casually threw out that it was nice to see some young blood in the neighborhood again. And so they were like, whoa, this guy used the creepy phrase. But, like, in that sense, it's like, you know, everybody in the neighborhood's getting old, and it'll be nice to see, like, new generations here and, like, living and, like, making, you know, keeping up the neighborhood barbecues or kids laughing and playing in the backyards or whatever, you know. And so that doesn't have to be nefarious.
No.
This guy's just making it weird.
Yeah.
Also, saying that the father watched until he died also sounds like that Michael Langford guy again.
Yeah.
But I also got the impression from this snippet that maybe it wasn't someone who had lived in the house or even lived in the neighborhood, but maybe someone who was like a child of an employee of the family who lived there.
Yeah.
Because, like, where he says, oh, when I ran from room to room imagining the life with the rich occupants there, like, that sounds like somebody who didn't necessarily, like, quote unquote belong there, like, that was just visiting or whatever. So I thought maybe, like, a former housekeeper or, like, a groundskeeper or something. And I guess the FBI special agents also felt that same way because they recommended to the family that they should look into former housekeepers or former employees. The Broadduses were still pretty convinced that it was the Langfords, and so they decided to try to see if it would provoke a response from the watcher. They sent a letter to the Langford house telling them that they were planning on tearing down the house at 657 Boulevard, but they didn't hear anything back from the family or the watcher. So now the police are thinking that it might not be the Langfords because they thought it would be reckless of Michael to send more letters after being warned not to. The PI had also found that there were 2 child sex offenders living within a few blocks of the house. The person who had been hired to paint the house noticed that the people who lived behind 657 Broadus were doing something strange. And I know this is in the show.
Yeah.
They had lawn chairs that they kept weirdly close to the Broadus' yard. And the painter noticed that when they sat in them, they weren't facing their own house. They were facing the Broadus' house. Like, they were watching them. I don't know why. Like, were the renovations better than TV?
I guess.
People are so weird.
I know.
I don't want to live in a nosy neighborhood. I mean, like, in the sense that, like, they would always, like, notice if there was crime happening or if there was somebody that wasn't supposed to be there. But, like, just people who are always in your business. So, eventually, the renovations were done. They installed a new alarm system and had the house blessed by a priest. But they were... Right? But they were still understandably reluctant to move in. They were living with Maria's parents now because they had sold their old house, and still being worried about what would happen when they moved in. Derek went so far as to start pricing out trained German shepherds and looking into hiring a military veteran just to work around the house.
Yeah.
Just to keep an eye on things. So Maria ended up in therapy and was diagnosed with PTSD. And her therapist told her that her stress wasn't going to stop until they got rid of the house.
Right.
And so they tried to sell it. But of course, there were already rumors going around because it's basically small town USA. about why they weren't moving into the house in the first place, because they didn't tell anybody about the letters. The police
Right.
told them not to. So the family decided to disclose the letters to potential buyers. They told the realtor, like, if there's anybody who wants to buy the house, we want them to see the letters and make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't want new owners to be blindsided like they felt like they were.
Right.
Because they felt like if the Woodses had showed them their letter, they might not have went ahead and signed into the contract. All of the bids they received for the house, though, were well below their asking price, and they just weren't ready for the financial hit of, being underwater or whatever, like upside down.
I feel like a part of me would just be like, to the highest bidder.
Right? I mean, I guess they just weren't quite there yet. So then they decided to sue the former owners of the house for not disclosing their letter.
Mm-hmm.
They felt that they never would have gotten into the contract if they had known about it. But unfortunately, because they filed this legal suit, the news picked up on the story of the Watcher letters, and it was featured on the Today Show. And this brought news trucks to the neighborhood, as well as 300 separate media requests to the Broadduses.
Yeah.
However, they were advised by a crisis management consultant not to speak publicly, and they didn't. So up until this point, they had not told the children what was going on because they didn't want to scare them.
Right.
But now, because it's public knowledge and the children go to school in this town,
Right.
they finally told them what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
With the news stories, now the residents of the town are freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
And the mayor made a statement that the Watcher hadn't been heard from in a year, and that while no one had been caught, the police investigation had been exhaustive. And the people who lived on Boulevard were like, how can you say that the investigation was exhaustive if the police never even talked to us?
Yeah.
And we live in the neighborhood. Like, we didn't know this was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly the investigation was not exhaustive. So a veteran detective of the Westfield Police Department named Robert Chambliss was asked to look at the case. And he found out that there had been DNA tested from the envelope and that it came back as belonging to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So then they thought maybe it had been Abby Langford, Michael's sister. And her motive, they thought, was that she was a real estate agent and she was salty about not being asked to sell the house, and she missed out on the commission for the house.
Right.
But they tested her DNA, and it was determined not to be her. And the police told Derek and Maria that they had officially ruled the Langfords out as suspects.
I don't remember there being a sister in the Netflix series. Jennifer Coolidge played the real estate agent that I guess supposedly sold them the house.
Huh.
And I feel like they were suspicious of her.
Because the real estate agent, as far as this goes, never comes back into play.
Yeah. But Jennifer Coolidge's character is fairly... What's the word?
I don't know, suspicious?
No, like, not really important, but like, she's in there quite a bit. She's featured quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, as far as I can recall, she was the realtor that sold them the house.
Yeah. So maybe they just kind of conflated that for the show.
And I remember there being the Langfords, but it was just the mom and the son from what I can remember.
Yeah.
And the mom, I don't think was 90. I think that she was, because I can't imagine her being like super mobile at 90.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Yeah, because I remember very little. I remember them like going to the house. I remember them playing with the dumbwaiter. And I remember the creepy neighbors with their lawn chairs. Mm. And that's kind of all I remember from the show.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't get very far into it, so. The Broadduses hired a security firm to do handwriting analysis, but that came up with nothing. They hired a forensic linguist named Robert Leonard of former Sha-Na-Na fame.
Okay.
He compared the letter to posts in online forums, but couldn't find anything similar. Derek even tried to hire a hacker to break into the Wi-Fi networks in the neighborhood, but as the Cut article says, quote, doing so turned out to be both illegal and more difficult than the movies made it seem, so they didn't go through with it. But clearly they did not enlist Penelope Garcia's help.
No.
She would have had that done real fast.
Instantaneously.
Instantly. So the new detective looking into the case ruled out Andrea Wood's DNA. He went ahead and just was like, I guess I better look into this woman. That's the lady that's holding the house. He also found out that around the same time that the Broadduses received their first letter, another family on the street received a similar letter from the Watcher. However, that family had lived in their house for years and their children were grown, so they just threw the letter away. And I was wondering, when it says a similar letter, was it similar, to maybe the letter that the Woods got? Or was it similar to the letter that the Broadduses got? Was it hey, welcome to the neighborhood. Thanks for the young blood. And they were like, we've already lived here, and they threw it away. Mm-hmm. And it got sent to the wrong house or something.
Right.
Because also that barbecue that the neighborhood had claimed that it was being it was welcoming the Broadduses and another new family, and so I wonder if that letter was meant for the other new family and it got sent to the wrong house.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I wonder if they ever asked the other new family if they got a weird letter, because it never even says anything about them.
No.
Let's see. The police also staked out the neighborhood, and one night around 11 p.m. they got suspicious of a car that stopped in front of the house for longer than they were comfortable with. The woman who was driving the car had a boyfriend who lived on the same block. And this story is hinky to me because in the article, in the Cut, it basically just says that he was from a nearby, or that she was from a nearby town. Her boyfriend lived on the same block and claimed that her boyfriend liked, quote, some really dark video games, including one with a character called the Watcher. The boyfriend was apparently living somewhere else at the time of this incident, but agreed to go in for an interview twice, but ghosted the police both times. So here's where I struggle with this. If the boyfriend wasn't living on the block at that time, why was the girlfriend there?
Right.
Also, did she just offer up this information about this Watcher video game to them? Or did they ask her specific questions leading up to the Watcher video game?
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't have known to ask somebody, does your boyfriend play any weird video games?
Right.
And what was the purpose of her saying that? I mean, just offering that information to the police. And then, I guess at this point the story was public in the news, but it just seems suspicious to me. But also there's no mention that they asked the girlfriend for a DNA sample. So did they ask and she refused, or did they ask and she did and they ruled her out? Or because the DNA was a girl, and so she could have helped the boyfriend.
Right.
I don't know. It just gives me a bad feeling about this chick.
Yeah.
And plus, the whole scenario seems weird to me. I'm still just why were you there if your boyfriend didn't even live there at that point? I don't know. Anyway, the police said they didn't have enough evidence to force the boyfriend to talk to them, and they dropped it. The family decided to sell the house again, or at least to try to sell the house again.
Right.
There were so many people who had commented online that they wouldn't have let the Watchers scare them away.
Mm-hmm.
So they thought, well, maybe with the media exposure, maybe somebody's willing to buy the house now. So they held an open house and allowed interested buyers to read the letters, and then ended up with no interested buyers. So apparently these people were a lot of talk.
Right. It's easy to say that you wouldn't let it bother you.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine anybody in that situation not being creeped out.
Right. Let's see. So then their real estate lawyer suggested that they tear down the house, split the lot, and then sell it to, like, a real estate developer who could build 2 houses on the lot. And that they thought maybe they could get $1 million for the lot.
She's writing something very important.
She really is. Let's see. I lost my place. So they get the plan to subdivide the lot, and it comes out that the 2 smaller lots would have to be 67.4 and 67.6 feet wide. The town, however, requires lots to be 70 feet wide. So they have to get an exemption from the Westfield Planning Board. And it has to be done through a public hearing.
Yeah.
This hearing ends up being 4 hours long. Just to ask them for a, 3-foot exemption on these 2 lots.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So the people who showed up from the neighborhood were just mad about this. The house is just so beautiful and grand, and it's the grandest house on the block, and they can't tear it down, and that it would ruin the aesthetic of the neighborhood to allow this to happen, and it's going to drive their own property values down, and they just really have zero empathy for what the Broaddus family is going through.
But also, it's not your house.
Right. It's not your house. If you loved it so much, why didn't you buy it? Yeah. So, finally, the proposal is denied. Even though later, the same board approved a similar exemption, around the corner. Yeah. So, the neighborhood really just kind of turns on these people.
Right.
And accuses them of sending the letters to themselves. And the reasoning for this is that maybe they had buyer's remorse. And maybe they got in over their head. But that they weren't ready for this house. Or they weren't ready for this big responsibility. Or maybe they were trying to get a movie deal out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in 2025, with TikTok being what it is, and people making fake content just to get views and likes and whatever, I can maybe see people doing this.
I've seen videos of things that people have found in their new houses.
Right. But in 2014, I don't think these people thought that sending letters to themselves, that by the way were not even released to the public for a year, that until they decided to sue the former owners, would get them a movie deal.
Yeah.
That just seems very unlikely. But fun fact, Lifetime apparently released a movie called The Watcher, and the Broadduses had Lifetime served with a cease and desist order, but Lifetime argued that their story was different because the couple was biracial and the person signed their letters The Raven.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're totally different stories, actually.
It goes dun 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 dun.
Exactly. Exactly. So, people also felt that the suit against the former owners was scammy. That they were just trying to, defraud these people out of their money. And they used the reasoning that, how did this family purchase a $1.3 million house when their last one only costed $300,000? How'd they move up so fast in the world?
Oh my goodness.
Derek's answer was, because this is America. And my answer is, he was made senior vice president of an insurance company in Manhattan. That probably came with a pretty significant raise.
Right.
Plus, just because you lived in a $300,000 house doesn't mean that's all you could afford.
Right. That's what I was thinking. It doesn't mean that you couldn't afford a $1.3 million house.
Yeah. And he had, I guess, it was within 10 years or something. I'm in 10 years, a lot can change.
Yeah.
Plus, they had 3 kids in 10 years.
Uh-huh.
So, they probably also needed something bigger, and they were able to afford this house now. So anyway, Derek and Maria found a family with grown children and 2 large dogs to rent the house. They had a clause written into the lease that allowed them to break the lease if the watcher sent any more letters. Mm-hmm. And 2 weeks later, another letter came. It was dated February 13th, and it was 2.5 years after the original letter came. Mm-hmm. It said, again, have not read the entire letter, so this is piecemeal. Violent winds and bitter cold, to the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife Maria. You wonder who the watcher is? Turn around. Wow. Again, totally messed that up. I hate autocorrects whenever you mess something up. I feel like he called him an idiot right there, but maybe not. Anyway, maybe you even spoke to me, one of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the watcher could be. Or maybe you do know and are too scared to tell anyone. Good move. I walked by the news trucks when they took over my neighborhood and mocked me. I watched as you watched from the dark house in an attempt to find me. Telescopes and binoculars are wonderful inventions. I'm like, this person's like super creep at this point.
Oh, yeah.
That he saw Derek in the dark house looking out, trying to find somebody watching him. Mm-hmm. 657 Boulevard survived your attempted assault and stood strong with its army of supporters barricading its gates. My soldiers of the boulevard followed my orders to a T. They carried out their mission and saved the soul of 657 Boulevard with my orders. All hail the Watcher. To me, this sounds a little bit like a person who tweets neurotic things all the time. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit. It gives off that vibe a little bit.
Just some person.
Just this one person who sends really crazy tweets out all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from, like, the end of that.
Yeah.
But, the letter also seemed to threaten revenge on the family for whatever slight the person received, because it goes on to say, maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away but makes you feel sick day after day after day after day after day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet. Poor little ferret. Loved ones suddenly die, planes and cars and bicycles crash, bones break. And it also said, you are despised by the house and the watcher won.
Okay.
Yeah. This was the last letter they received. The tenants of the house agreed to stay as long as they installed more cameras. Mm-hmm. This letter was definitely more angry and vengeful than the previous ones had been. Like, the other ones were just like, hey, I'm a creep and I want your young blood. Yeah. And this one's like,
people gonna die.
Yeah. Your poor ferret's gonna die. It also is still giving me, like, Rosemary Baby's vibes, though. Because Rosemary's Baby vibes. Like, the whole neighborhood is in on it. Because, you know, like, all the tenants of the apartment complex were, like, part of this, like, devil cult. But, like, my soldiers of the boulevard followed my orders to a T.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking when you were reading that part that it slightly sounds like the whole neighborhood is in on it.
Like it's culty or something. Mm. Yeah. Well, and, like, remember in one of the earlier letters, he said the Woods family sold it to you when I asked them to, or whatever. Like, are they all in on it?
Yeah.
Or is this just, like, an unhinged rambling from an unhinged person?
Yeah.
In 2019, the Broadduses finally sold the house for $959,000, which after the renovations, I think they probably ended up losing like $500,000. Mm-hmm. But they probably were glad to just be shut of it.
Oh, yeah.
The Watcher was never found out, and as far as I could find, the new owners have not reported receiving any letters. However, according to an article from Inman Real Estate News, the police had been summoned to the house 58 times between 2019 and 2022. That seems like a lot of times for one house ever, but especially in 3 years. Police told the press that no letters had been received, but at least 3 times they were summoned for potential burglaries that were, like, triggered through the basement. Some of the calls were about lurkers, So, I mean, probably because of the show and the house's notoriety, people probably just show up. Like, people do. Don't do that, people.
No.
Yeah, don't just go to somebody's house. Google claims that the Broadduses still live in Westfield, just not on the boulevard.
Yeah.
So I guess they weren't scared out of town. They were just scared out of the house. And that's the story of the Watcher House.
Yeah. It didn't mention the teacher.
I don't know. There was only one mention in the article about a teacher. There was something about, that one of their kids in class, that a teacher, like, started a debate over, like, safety or feeling safe or something. But really all that led to was a quote that, like, another little kid in the class told the Broadus child, like, no matter what, like, my mom said that your mom is wrong and Westfield is safe.
Yeah. But that's not even the teacher that I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
There is supposedly a teacher, and I feel like this part might be true because when we were listening to the listener stories on And That's Why We Drink, somebody was saying that teacher had been their teacher.
Okay.
But the teacher had supposedly set a project for the class where they were supposed to, like, write a letter to, I guess, a house that they were interested in.
Okay. And
the teacher had supposedly written a letter to this house. That he was really interested in this house.
Yeah.
And when he was, he had been interested in this house since he was a kid. And I think that, if I'm remembering the Netflix series properly, that he supposedly used to go to the house when he was a kid because maybe he was friends with the kids that lived there.
Okay.
And so, I mean, if this is all true, then, you know, that could explain the pretending, like, running through the halls and pretending what it would be like
to live with, like, the rich occupants or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did. So I Googled it, and it said one suspect was a high school teacher, Robert Caplow, who reportedly told students he wanted to write letters to the house itself, fitting the Watcher's strange obsession with the property. Oh, okay. Interesting.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said. So, like, if all of that is true, then he supposedly used to go there when he was a kid.
Okay, yeah.
And was just, like, fascinated by the house and, like, obsessed with the house.
Have you seen the house? I don't know. I don't know what it looked like on the...
I don't know. I mean, I've probably seen a picture of it.
So, this is the house.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly fine house.
It's a pretty house.
I don't know that it's anything to write home about.
No.
Like, I don't think that I would be screaming and crying if somebody wanted to knock it down.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I would be, like, I don't know.
I don't know why you'd become obsessed with it.
Right. It kind of looks like a barn to me.
Yeah. But...
I mean, like, if somebody gave it to me for free, I'd be like, thank you for this house. But, like, if I was searching for my dream home and I had $1.5 million, this is probably not the house I would have picked.
Right.
But I also find that I have very different tastes than rich people do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just one big stunt. Or maybe it was just a really crazy person. But my wonderment is, and I guess, if I were the new owners of the house, maybe I wouldn't publicize that I got letters either, just because of what happened to these people when they did. But if the Watcher was really just obsessed with the house and mad because new people moved in, but also excited that young blood moved in or whatever, like, why only harass this family and not the following family?
Well, I feel like a lot of it had to do with the fact that the Broadduses had small children.
I don't know that this family doesn't. I don't know who these people
true.
are. And so I don't know that they don't have children.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, then why harass one family but not harass the next family? So, I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. It's creepy.
Very. Alright, well, I think my voice is just about shot.
It'll be New Year's Day in about 30 minutes.
Woohoo! Throw the confetti.
I'm gonna eat the rest of my sandwich from earlier because I'm starting to get hungry finally.
Don't throw the confetti. Somebody's got to vacuum that up.
Throw it outside.
As long as it's biodegradable.
I mean, just paper confetti, not plastic confetti.
Yeah.
Throw some flower seeds in the air.
There you go. Do that. Alright, well, we're going to be listening to guns shooting pretty soon.
Yes.
In the scary place that we live. And hopefully you guys don't have to deal with that wherever you live.
Yeah.
Since we live in Second Amendment country. That's why we don't go outside.
No.
On New Year's.
That's why we don't go throw confetti outside or flower seeds or anything, because people are shooting guns into the air without the concern that what goes up must come down.
Yeah. I remember I used to work for city government, and one of the city councilors had a bullet lodged in the roof of his house New Year's morning from people in his neighborhood shooting guns.
Yeah.
That they heard something like thunk on the roof. It wasn't Santa Claus.
No.
And not a pineapple napalm bomb or whatever it was called. It was a bullet.
Was a bullet from a gun.
Yeah.
From a bunch of rednecks celebrating the new year.
I can imagine, like, it could go through people's windows.
Yeah.
It could, like, I don't know. I
hit somebody's dog.
Recently in, like, Oklahoma or something, some lady was, like, walking and got killed because some dude was, like, target practicing in his backyard.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Like, people, please don't shoot guns.
Just willy-nilly.
Just anywhere, whenever you want to.
Yeah.
They have
I don't care if you have a Second Amendment right or not.
Oh my god. Like, that's not even what it's for.
No.
They have places where you can safely go to shoot your guns.
Yes.
If you just real need to go shoot your guns.
You need to go shoot a gun.
They have places that you can go and areas that you can go and shoot your guns. Mm-hmm. Go there. Don't just do it in your backyard. Don't shoot them into the air. Because again, like Farron said, what goes up
must come down.
Because we have something called gravity.
Yes.
Your gun doesn't shoot so high up that it, like, goes into orbit in space. No. It's going to come back down. So just don't do that.
Yes.
Think of all of the little kids that just want to go outside and do their sparklers.
Mm-hmm. Or watch the neighbor's fireworks.
Yeah.
Or
so
whatever.
All right. Well, we made it to 2026.
Well,
and
see you guys next year.
Yeah. I lost everything.
You lost everything.
My head.
So, you can find us on social media at...
Oh, there's the things we're supposed to say. Twisted and Mysterious. Or you can email us at twistedandmysterious@gmail.com. Nope.
Twisted and Mysterious podcast@gmail.com. Sarah forgot how to do her job.
And then I had a coughing fit. I forget how to do my job all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I guess I better take some cold medicine and go to bed.
Yeah. Send us some emails and like and subscribe.
And keep the comments coming.
And give us good ratings and share it with your friends. And as always, remember that people are gross and don't get murdered.
And don't get watched. Okay, bye.